Nigeria and the United States have stepped up defense engagements, holding talks on joint military exercises, training, capacity building, and other forms of operational and technological support. This is according to the defense headquarters. The discussion followed a visit to Abuja by General Anderson, the commander of the United States Africa Command, during which both countries reviewed existing security cooperation and identified opportunities for deeper collaboration. In a statement by the Director of Defense Information, Samalia Uba, Anderson met with President Bola Tinubu, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, the Defense Minister, Christopher Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff, Olufemi Oloyede, and the Chief of Army Staff, Waidi Shuaibu, and other senior military and security officials. Former Director of the Department of State Security, Mike Ejiofor, joins us now for a conversation about the Nigeria-U.S. military collaboration and what it means for the security architecture of Nigeria. He'll also be sharing perspectives on how the U.S. and the federal government can build on this relationship to improve security in Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Welcome to Newsday.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
I'd like to ask how you define the line between strategic partnership and Nigeria's national sovereignty, and exactly what the day-to-day operations of our frontline DSS and military officers would be within this arrangement.
Well, you've rightly pointed out what it is collaboration. It has nothing to do with our sovereignty. People had misconception when President Trump made an earlier threat that he was going to protect Christians. But then, if you recall, that we were here on this station, and I advised the federal government to use diplomatic means, which a high-powered delegation of the federal government went and visited the United States. So based on that, and the United States delegation has been here too, based on the discussion we're having, a mutual decision has been reached, and we are collaborating effectively. It has nothing to do with our sovereignty, and but in foreign policy, you expect that there must be some gains in such partnership. So I think both countries are bound to gain from the partnership, but I believe that Nigeria has to gain more because we have serious security challenges that we have been contending with over years that which we have not overcome. So this visit by the commander of the AFRICOM and with the Nigerian high-power delegation of the service chiefs, the Minister of Defense, is bound to achieve some positive results.
So what mechanisms should be put in place to ensure transparency and accountability in intelligence sharing agreements?
Well, you see, intelligence sharing, you see, for us, the Nigerian security services, the Nigerian security and intelligence services, we are on ground, we know our terrain. But the United States government and their forces will come to complement with intelligence gathering equipment and also get us more technological advances to assist in our intelligence gathering effort so that attacks will be precise, and we try as much as possible to get results in such a collaboration. I believe that the partnership will yield results, like I earlier said, and the intelligence must be provided by Nigeria in company of the United States forces, who are also coming with technological know-how, expertise, and knowledge.
Well, of course, with the delivery of the drones and hardware, but we actually know that our main problem in Nigeria is human intelligence and the internal infiltration and maybe even lack of structure and collaboration within our own intergovernmental security agencies. So how exactly is the U.S. supposed to help us fix the structure of our intelligence gathering rather than just providing us with tools and weapons?
Well, without sounding immodest, I don't think we're having problems with human intelligence. Because if you recall that on several occasions, intelligence have been provided, but we don't have the capacity to deal, the technological capacity to deal with such a situation. In some cases, you have issues of sabotage. You remember the case of the attack, I think in Quebec, if I can recall exactly, where intelligence was provided a few minutes or hours before the attack, troops were withdrawn. And I expected that the government should have come out with the investigation to know what happened, who ordered such withdrawal. And there are some other areas where you suspect sabotage. So human intelligence is not really a major problem, but it's part of the problems. But I can tell you that if we have the capacity to deal with the human intelligence on ground, we are good to go.
So in what ways can this collaboration address emerging threats such as cybercrime and financial crimes linked to terrorism?
Well, we'll look at fund tracking. I expect also that it should come with fund tracking so that even though we have such facilities, tracking of the sponsors, tracking of the funding of such ventures, I think that will help a lot. Because if we're able to follow the funds and try to cut off sources of supply of food and armament to the terrorists, and we'll make some progress.
I want to switch a little bit now and speak on the situation that's happening with the El Rufai. From a DSS perspective, how dangerous is it for a former high-ranking official to openly admit to accessing intercepted state communications from a high-ranking individual in the government?
Well, for me, I was shocked. I didn't want to believe it because I didn't watch it firsthand until I watched it, what's trending on Arise. You know, the clip. I think that is the most reckless, self-indicting statement anybody can make against himself. Even if he had something like that, I never expected that should come up. That will show you the quality of leadership we have in this country. How can somebody come out openly to make such a statement that he intercepted, knowing that is criminal in nature for you to make such an attempt? And I consider him a high security risk. And I think the State Security Service too has taken the right decision, the right steps to charge him so that he will produce his partners, his collaborators, because he can't be alone. He admitted that they intercepted and it's illegal. It's infringement on the rights of the National Security Advisor, who you also know is a top-level government official. So if you can do that to such a high-ranking officer of government, National Security Advisor, who coordinates the security of the country, then we must all be in trouble in the hands of such fellows.
Mm. Now, he also said, you know, that the government also monitors the phone conversations of other public officials regularly, even though the government is not aware that they also do the same. So under what circumstances can security agencies legally conduct surveillance on public officials?
Well, there are two different things, you know, wiretapping and intercepts. For the intercepts, security agencies are allowed to do such intercepts, and they are guided by regulations, they are guided by approvals. You must go to court to obtain such this. You don't just on your own wake up and begin to intercept people's conversation, even though, generally speaking, it's not accepted. But for security agencies to assist them in their investigation, they must get the necessary approval to get such an intercept in the course of the investigation. The only security agencies that are allowed to do that. But for an individual to be intercepting government conversation, that's also very dangerous.
And the former governor also alleged that the NSA's office has imported 10 kg of a highly toxic chemical from Poland. Now, if such substances were to be imported truly for national security, what's the standard protocol of oversight that happens between the NSA, NAFDAC, and the DSS?
Well, we have regulatory agencies, like you said, NAFDAC. The NSA normally gives the end user's license for such items that come into Nigeria. So what facts does El-Rufai have to say that such and for what purpose? He has a lot of questions to answer. Why were they imported? What quantity? Who imported it? So many questions that he has to answer to see, because he is not a regulatory agency. That shows that either he has penetrated government or has people within the government. That's why I say that there must be need for proper investigation to know who are his links and who are his collaborators in such a venture.
Now, some analysts believe that these allegations have political undertones. And I'm wondering then, how can our security institutions remain insulated from political conflicts? Is that possible?
But for this case in hand, we are talking of intercept, we are talking of importation of toxic poison and all these things. What is the political correlation there? And offenses have been committed. And you cannot say because somebody is in opposition, you take laws into it. And nobody's above the law in this country. So for me, if he has committed an offense, he must face it. And I'm happy, too, that the SSS has even charged the matter to sued him so that he'll come and prove his case in court. He has a date with court. If we allow people, because of political reasons, to begin to make such reckless statements, they end up heating up the polity and at the same time bringing chaos and anarchy into the country. So people must be accountable, they must be held responsible for their action.
And how can that be made certain? How can we make sure that they are held accountable, and that the probe is enacted and it's seen as impartial and not a political tool to silence a member of the opposition?
No, definitely not. I said the matter is in court. So there's no question. They let the court decide whether an offense has been committed or not. But if the SSS or any of the security agencies have taken the matter on their own to begin to interrogate, people will say there is being witch hunted. But they have taken decisive and fast action to ensure that the man has a date in court and prove his case. So there's no political undertone as far as I'm concerned, except you prove otherwise.
Well, former Director, Department of State Services, Mike Ejiofor, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.